Hello one and all, welcome to Seeing Through Glass, and yes, welcome to my new daily, a Jaguar F-Pace SVR. We have a lot to get through in this video. I have many things to update you on, not just the arrival of this F-Pace SVR. For example, my F-Type R has gone. Sadly, I had to say goodbye to that car. It's kind of been replaced by this. However, this F-Pace SVR is kind of with me on a temporary basis. I see it as a bit of a stopgap between the F-Type R and something else I have in mind. I also want to talk to you about my hunt for a classic and have a chat about the 360 and the GT3 because the future from both of those cars is a little uncertain at the moment. So like I say, lots to get through. Essentially, this video is going to be a good old garage update. Just quickly, before we get into it, let me talk to you about Car Vertical, who have very kindly sponsored this part of the video. You've probably heard me or others talk about Car Vertical before. Essentially, it's your one-stop shop for an insanely detailed report into a car's history. So if you're looking to buy a used car, or maybe you're just interested in your own car's past, check out Car Vertical. Just head to the website, enter a car's VIN, and you get back this amazing report, which covers everything from mileage history, so you can make sure that your car's never been clocked, the mileometer hasn't been tampered with. Maybe your car's been in an accident that you were unaware of. There could be photos of the damage. But there's so much other information in these reports because Car Vertical gathers information from over 1,000 different sources, meaning that you'll know exactly what you're buying or maybe what you've bought. Many people who've heard me talk about Car Vertical before in previous videos have used it to generate reports on their own cars and been like, oh wow, I didn't realize my car. So yes, as I say, check out the link in the description below and use my code STG to generate a report on a car you might be looking to buy or already own. It's a super useful tool and it just gives you that reassurance in knowing what you might have the keys for. Huge thanks to them for continuing to support the channel and for sponsoring this part of the video. So I guess let's kick things off with this F-Pace SVR. Now, this is a bit of a long-winded story, so stick with me. Earlier in the year, whilst attending the F-Type 75 launch, which is the final production version of the F-Type, I sort of proclaimed that I would be parting ways with the brown F-Type R. Because, as a new dad with a baby, it didn't really make sense for me to have 3 two-seater sports cars in the garage, and at the time I wasn't prepared to part ways with the GT3 or the 360, and considering that I've had F-Types on and off for about 8 years, I was most comfortable with waving goodbye to, yes, the brown car. Obviously, I was with the Jaguar press team at the time that I kind of made that announcement, or was at least making that decision. So we were chatting about it at dinner and they were asking what I was going to replace the F-Type with. And back then I really had no idea, I just knew I needed to make a change. And so they suggested, well, why don't you borrow an F-Pace SVR for a while whilst you're figuring things out? And it's kind of a win-win. I think most of you know I've got a great relationship with Jaguar. They've been very good to me over the years. By lending me an F-Pace SVR, they ensure that a Jaguar remains on the channel, and I guess benefit from the exposure that that brings. But then I also benefit from essentially getting a more practical F-Type. I keep a car that I love and actually get to enjoy an SUV that I adore whilst figuring out what I actually want to replace the F-Type with. It buys me a little bit of time. So it was a great short-term solution. Now I say short-term solution because that's truly how I see this car, as a temporary fix. Whilst it ticks many of the boxes as to what I want to replace the F-Type with, essentially a 4-door sports car that I can create content with, maybe take on adventures, use as my daily, but occasionally fit the family in. Well, firstly, this car's got to go back to Jaguar at some point, but there's a reason why I'm not really considering buying an F-Pace SVR. It's because it creates a bit of a niche first world problem in my life. Up until this point, the garage lineup included my 360, the GT3, the F-Type, and then a family BMW X3, which really my wife Vicky used more than I did. I only really got behind the wheel during family holidays or on like airport runs where we were carting around a lot of luggage and things like that. It meant that the F-Type was the car that I was using on a daily basis. So this thing, temporarily replacing the F-Type, becomes my daily. But that meant that we were a 2 SUV household, and that made me a little sick in my mouth. So I was like, well, let's get rid of the X3, because if Jaguar are giving me an F-Pace SVR for free, I'm not going to continue to finance the X3. It seems unnecessary. So actually sold that car to Tony at Gravelwood Car Sales. So yeah, the current lineup, the 360, the GT3, and this F-Pace SVR sounds perfect, right? But it's not, because on a day like today, when I'm using this car and filming with it, well, my wife Vicky and the baby are left stranded. Heck, I've even got the car seat with me. That's not ideal. Now, I'm sure you could say, well, just use the 360 or the GT3, Sam. But then what's the point in having a super sporty, cool daily that I can't use or film with? At that point, I might as well just leave Vicky with the X3 and instead focus on a bit more of a niche focused 4-door sports car, which I'm using most of the time to create content with and for work, but occasionally putting them in. For me, that's the better long-term solution. So as much as I love these cars, and turns out Vicky loves this car, I don't see it working out long term, because, well, we don't even think this sporty as a family car, and I don't even think this practical as a daily. So I'm gonna love using it for the next 6 to 9 months, or however long we have it, but after that I will be handing it back to Jaguar and continuing the hunt for this kind of elusive 4-door, 4-seat sports car that I can use as a daily. I think in the meantime, I kind of need to find, well, a little runaround that Vicky can use if I'm using the F-Pace, or I can use when Vicky's using the F-Pace, and I'm quite tempted for that to be an electric car. Is that a sin? I don't know, we're going to pick that up in a few months, I'm sure. Now, I've come here to Podium because actually, well, on the day this video is being released, we're doing a live podcast event here, so I'll come to catch up with the team and make sure everything's ready. Then we're going to continue our journey in the SVR to talk to you about classic cars, because I haven't forgotten that a few months ago I said the hunt for a classic was back on. I think it still is, potentially. Well, let's move on from the F-Pace, because you're going to be seeing plenty more of this car in the months ahead. Whilst it might not fit into my lifestyle perfectly right now, it's still a mega bit of kit. I can't wait to plan some proper adventures with this thing. Anyway, a few months ago, you may have seen that whilst I was in Portugal, I test drove a Porsche 356B, and I kind of fell in love with it. I also proclaimed that the hunt for a classic was well and truly back on. But I'm aware that since then, I haven't really addressed the subject all that much. That's because I've been trying to figure out this and where a classic would fit into this latest STG lineup. Doesn't mean, though, that I haven't been browsing for a classic. So today I've come down to the Classic Motor Hub. I actually discovered this place on the Showroom, which is a new feature of Custodian. You may have heard me talk about these guys before. It's what I use to kind of manage all my cars. If you don't know it, go check it out. It's amazing. And this new feature is like a free marketplace with loads of amazing dealers and a lot that specialise in classics, so it's been the perfect place for me to browse for some really special bits of kit. Classic Motor Hub, well, it's got lots of special bits of kit and also a coffee shop attached to the showroom, so you can decide what was the main draw for me to come down here today. Now, I haven't completely lost the plot. I am aware that an original 206 or 246 Dino is well out of my price bracket. This is not the kind of classic I'm looking for. However, its successor could be an interesting opportunity. People often don't realise that there were two Dino Ferraris, obviously, that wore a Dino badge instead of the full Ferrari badge. That meant this car was often overlooked, kind of disregarded by collectors. Now, obviously, it's become very valuable, but the later 308 GT4 is still, I think, a bit of a bargain. I believe Magnus Walker just picked one up. I actually drove one quite a few years ago at Furlongs, and it was kind of an awesome bit of kit. And you can find them circa £40,000, and I quite like the fact that it's the only other Dino. So yeah, never actually driven one of these. Would love to have a go, but as I kind of showed you, yeah, we're talking big money. Now, this is one car that really caught my eye on the showroom, a little Alfa Giulia. These Giulias and Lancia Fulvias are really up my street because, well, they're borderline affordable. This is a GTA evocation. This is like a proper full-on, almost race car spec, but it's only 75 grand. You can go further than this. There's obviously the Alphaholics and various levels that you can do, and obviously you find a sort of actual real race car from period, loads of money. But a sort of standard car that I could then work on and fettle, well, yeah, I don't know, 40 or 50 grand plus all the work that I would then do. I mean, just look at this thing. It looks even better in the flesh than it did on the app. I'm kind of obsessed. Now, lots of you are going to kill me. I don't really know anything about Capris, apart from the fact they look amazing. It was before my time. I've never really had a chance to experience one, but check out this one. Gold with, look at the seats. It's like brown and tartan inserts. It even has its own little miniature version in the windscreen. I mean, this thing is amazing. I mean, I know they're icons. What is this? This is a Capri 3.0 S. I just don't know anything about them. It's from The Professionals, which was a big TV show. So yeah, there's going to be people in the comment section going mad, people screaming at their screen going, how do you not know what this is? But yeah, I mean, I need to do some research because I think that's kind of cool. This place is mega. I love discovering these new destinations. This coffee shop is incredible. I'm going to spend a lot of money before I leave this place. Probably not on a car though, I think on memorabilia. By the way, I just got a bit of a telling off because I called the team at Custodian to let them know that I'd come here, and they let me know that that Capri I was filming is like insanely important. It is the car from the TV show. It's probably the most valuable Capri ever made. And I was like, oh, it's gold, woohoo! So apologies to all of you that I offended, who, as I said, were probably screaming at the screen at the time. But yeah, I've got to stop tyre kicking at some point and actually follow through and buy a classic, but I just find it so hard to pick one. So say I'm just endlessly browsing online on the showroom and various other platforms and just going, oh, I like a Mercedes E500 or a Porsche 912 or an Alfa Giulia or a Lancia Fulvia. I don't know, there's just too many options. But I'm thinking that maybe a sort of project is the route I should go, something that I can get and kind of, well, make my own over time, whether I'm doing the work myself or in collaboration with the garage. I'm not entirely sure, but for now I'm going to enjoy continuing to come to places like this, have a wander around and drool at some beautiful stuff. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to enjoy my coffee, work out what to buy from the shop, and then we'll get back in the car and crack on. Right, let's do a quick recap because even I have lost where we've got to with this video. I've introduced you to the F-Pace SVR, explained that the F-Type and X3 are now gone, and updated on the fact that the hunt for a classic car is ongoing, but at quite a slow pace. So I guess all that's left to do as part of this garage update is talk you through plans for the GT3 and the 360. GT3 is an easy one. I continue to just absolutely love that car. No, I thought I was going to own that GT3 12 or 18 months and then probably move on, do some big adventures in it and then part ways. But no, I just love it so much. I can't imagine ever selling it. There's a part of me that thinks, let's forget this whole 4-door, 4-seat elusive sports car thing and just install rear seats in the GT3, take the mileage to the moon. It's just that good. So yeah, it's sitting around waiting for its next adventure. I've actually been using the GT3 a lot as a daily because of this whole F-Pace family car conundrum thing. So we move on to the 360. It's an interesting one. If you've been watching my videos for the last year or so, You'll know for the last 9 months, I've been kind of umming and ahhing a lot about what to do with the 360. It's my baby. I just love it. The sentimental value of that 360 Modena is so high. It means so much to me. But I'm at a point in the ownership experience where I'm just starting to go, where does this car fit into my life moving forward? This year, apart from the adventure to Morocco, I haven't really used it. It's ticked over 50,000 miles, over 20 years. I've owned it 7 years. And I'm just like, I don't know. And then I suddenly realised that next year, it's 10 years since I started this channel. It dawned on me, wouldn't it be a really poetic thing to do to celebrate that big anniversary by finally biting the bullet and getting myself kind of my all-time dream car, a Challenge Stradale. And when I said that out loud, I was like, yeah. Now, it would mean me selling the 360 Modena, and I'd have to probably sell the Modena now so that I can afford to upgrade into a Stradale. There aren't many Stradales on the market, which means that when the right one comes up, I kind of want to be able to jump on it straight away. So I'm like, sell the Modena, get the money in the bank, and then sit and wait. Oh, I don't know. We've done so many pros and cons lists, and when I say we, me and all AV Engineering, me and Vicky, my wife, and the pros lists for upgrading to a Stradale are like this long. The cons are like, basically, I might miss the Modena. So there we have it. I think I've covered off all the points. The current STG lineup is this F-Pace SVR on loan from Jag, the GT3 and the 360. But in the months ahead, and at least in the next 12 months, that could all change, with the exception of the GT3, I think. Because yeah, the F-Pace SVR will go back to Jag, ideally replaced by this 4-door, 4-seat sports car. By the way, front runners for that, Giulia Quadrifoglio, M3 Touring, Jaguar XE Project 8, and Ferrari GTC4 Lusso. It really depends on how successful I am over the next 12 months. But I also want to add this little electric car for Vicky and the baby to use as a runaround, or me to use to go back and forth to the studio. And we've got this question mark over the future of the 360. Could I finally bring a Challenge Stradale to the channel next year? Who knows? So yeah, subscribe now. Clearly, I haven't got a clue what's ahead. And maybe that's exciting, I don't know. But give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the update. And yeah, stay tuned, because lots of adventures to come, some of which will involve new cars coming to the channel. God knows when and how.